WF representing Palace, so let's tell you about Palace. Rolling straight to the ceiling, crowns and crystals, top like journeys, dishing out malice. Hold up, South London's grandest, far from bandits. Anything earned for a goal of elevation, just passing the team over here might finish out bright future, we can't vanish. SE25 any day, that's sellers. Rev up the engines, no more reverse reactions, fan cams, bands on stream. Share up the team, support the dream team when Eagles fly, make noise and scheme. Dare to dream or dream to dare, taking a step to become supreme.
Yes, hello everyone. Welcome to another TACT-EAGLE. That I don't know how many of us are looking forward to.
I don't think anyone is.
I wasn't. I'm not gonna lie. I think when, I don't know about you, JC, but I feel like when we're playing well, and I feel like we will do like the kind of counters that we kind of suggest, I feel a lot more happier. But right now, I feel like it's like when we was under Roy. I kind of feel like I might suggest something, but I'm like, well, it's not going to happen. So, like, do you know what I mean? Like, what's the point?
Yeah, I get that.
But besides that, how are you, JC?
I'm okay. Just chilling, really. Like yesterday, so not much has happened. Still a little bit upset from the Forest game, but here's what it is. Games are going to start coming thick and fast now, so you get on with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm to be honest, I woke up even more annoyed this morning actually, and then I'm going to bring back the threads. Like, I was so annoyed that we haven't brought an attacking wing back that I've decided they're coming back. They're making a comeback, and I've been watching Archie Brown today, and now I'm even more annoyed.
Oh, what? Because we could have got him for like £8 million.
Yeah, that's just, oh my God. He seems like, I've only watched one game, the game against Chelsea, but wow, he seems exactly what we would have liked. But anyways, we don't have him. We've got Tyre Mitchell instead, and his backup is Jeffrey Schlupp, or Daniel Munoz if you're Oliver Glasner on the 75th minute at Nottingham Forest for some reason.
Well done. If you're watching Archie Brown, watch TACT-EAGLE, because I did a segment on him.
Well, then I'll have a look. But yeah. Anyways, I think let's not dwell on the past too much. So I think let's move on to our predicted 11s. Right. What have you got, JC?
First things first, with predicted 11, let's talk about injuries. So injuries for us is still Chaddy Riyad, Chris Richards. I don't expect, even though Glasner said that Chet Doucouré is training, I wouldn't expect him to be anywhere near this game. So what I've done is I've put Richards, Doucouré, I should really put Riyad on that right-hand side as well to show their injury. Matt Turner's back because obviously he couldn't play against Forest. França, no return date. Rob Holding, no return date. I have also put Adam Wharton there because I think if it's a surgery thing, just get the surgery over and done with. There's no point to hope that rest is going to work because we've had 2 international breaks since he's come back from England. He's not played. I don't think he's played a full 90 since he's been back either. So I really don't think rest is going to help him. And really and truly, I think I said it in our review yesterday that I would rather him miss these, like this month and next month's games so he can play and be fully fit during Christmas, because Christmas is crunch time, really. And I'd rather a fully fit Adam Wharton than try and nurse Adam Wharton through the whole season. I'd rather take the hit for a month or two now and have a full fit version of him for the whole season, for the rest of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, so I watched back a couple of the games just from last season just to see like what has gone wrong. And I think the reason why we kind of got away with having Mitchell and Munoz at wing back last season, I think was in part because of Wharton, because Wharton was so able just to receive a ball. Doesn't matter how many players were around him, somehow he managed to get away and then find a pass. Whereas this season, obviously, because of the way he's been, we've not had that in the midfield. And I think that's been a really key reason why we haven't been as productive this season, I think. But yeah, I totally agree. Like, I think we should have done it. I think as soon as he knew he was going to have surgery, they should have just done it. Like,
well, to be fair, we knew that he had this injury ever since he came back from England. So, that surgery could have happened, and he could have been back playing already. If we took action when we should have, like he would be playing right now, and potentially we might not even be in this kerfuffle. But
then that's just Palace all over at the moment. Like I say, at the moment, like for at least the last few years, like we're just so reactive to things rather than being proactive.
That's just Palace with pretty much everything we do. Though we're always reactive. We've like the few times that we've ever made a proactive sub, pretty much most times it's actually come off. Like I remember Vieira putting Elise on against City, get another goal. Glasner, even this season, just throwing everyone on, all our attacking players on the pitch, and we get back to 2-2. Potentially could have won it as well. Like the few times we've been proactive, we've actually done pretty well. But every single other time, it's reaction. We sold Will. Let's not buy anyone. We sold say. Let's wait a few months and then we'll get 3 players in, and not even one of them be the same profile of player that we actually need. It's just a reactionary club, aren't we? We've never done anything quickly, but it is what it is, really. But
absolutely.
Oh, go on then.
Oh, sorry, mate. I think it's a bit laggy. No, I was just going to say, like, it wouldn't surprise me if in January we'll buy, say, like a left wing back. Say we do buy Archie Brown, for example, for potentially double the price he was at before, and then we do well the second half of the season, finish like a respectable mid-table again, and then we're like, well, why didn't we just do that in the first place? Why did we have to wait for it to go completely wrong to do that?
100%. But I've gone here, sort of, I guess, Dan with the foreshadowing a little bit here, with saying about what we said at the start. We're saying that under Roy we'd suggest something and nothing happened. And basically here, the only thing that I'm really thinking could actually happen is we'll play the same team, but you put Sarah instead of Kamada. And even after Glasner saying, we're going to change formation, we need more players on the pitch that can score goals, blah, blah, blah. I don't see him moving away from this formation for some reason. I really don't. I mean, if it was me, personally, and this is why I've got quite a few players on the bench, if I've fully filled up the bench today. If it was me, I think some tough decisions have to be made to accommodate for this. We need more attacking players on the pitch to score goals, and that's just a fact. If you have more attackers, you've got more chance of scoring. And you have someone in Mateta who, granted, hasn't been very good this season, but last season, if you gave him the ball in the box, you saw what he could do. And because we've let go of Edouard, because we've let go of Ayew, I feel like we have to play both of them in the team together. And a way of doing this, I think, would be, it is harsh, as I said. I think we need to pull Chalobah to the bench, because I still can't forgive that header back into danger area. Granted, the save should have been saved, but we wouldn't have even been in that situation if we just headed it out for a throw in. Chalobah to the bench, and we pull in the back four. These 2 midfielders, I would keep it the exact same. Eze and Sarr, I would still say play left and right 10, but we're bringing back strike partnerships if I was a Premier League manager. This is how I would.
So, do you have it like kind of like a 4-4-2 with like Eze and Sarr being wingers, or would you have it more like when he did against like Leicester and it was kind of more like a 4-2,
like
yeah,
more
like an
like this,
inside
like
kind of
like
one, yeah.
Like imagine you've got like a box midfield of these two. So you got two DMs, two attacking
Mhm.
mids, but these guys can obviously pull out wider as and when. That is how I would set up the team. I just feel like we need to just try and go forwards a little bit more. But against Spurs, with how they attack, I don't think we're going anywhere near a fullback.
Yeah.
And that's purely because when Spurs go forwards, more times than not, they score. And
Yeah,
certain
definitely.
players like Son always scores against us. Solanke seems to have a good record against us as well. I think that we're not going anywhere away from this, basically. Dan, do you agree? Do you disagree? How would you set up that team if it was your team? Is Dan gone or am I gone? Put in the comments, please. I'll check in the comment. Is it me that died or was it you?
Mine just reset as well. I mean, the stream's still going, but
both of us. Oh, apparently we both of us disconnected. So both of our internet is whack.
Maybe it's Streamlabs.
I don't know. I hope so. It is Streamlabs. We talk about my internet's not bad.
I haven't had to reset my internet today. So I think because I just think, right, this is where I'm kind of at with like the formation changing. Like, granted, I think in some ways it would do better, but I think the problem is we still have a fullback who can't attack, Mitchell, and we still have Munoz. I mean, I think Munoz is a good facilitator. I suppose him and Sarr on that side would work, but again, I feel like Mitchell's a weak link again. I suppose an extra body like the extra bodies in midfield, I think would work. Like, obviously, that would help us progress in the middle. I think that would help. I think, I don't know. It's so difficult because it's like when England was playing. It was like, okay, like if I put that there, but then that doesn't work like that. But then if I swap that round, okay, that works, but then that doesn't work. It's like I feel like everything's a bit of a catch-22. Especially without Wharton and without Decore. Because I mean, I would quite happily do what you did and then say have Sarr as a winger and then just, maybe just try Agbenone or Uma, because I thought Agbenone was good when he came on against Forest. I appreciated it was 10 minutes at the end of a Premier League game, but at least he's going to give us width that I don't think Mitchell's capable of giving us. Alternatively, maybe just, again, the fact that we're in this situation, you're even suggesting playing this guy as a solution is playing Uma instead of Mitchell. Just kind of, so I guess in a way it kind of is like a 4 at the back, kind of 5 at the back, but you just have a really attacking wing back one side with maybe a less attacking wing back on the other side, perhaps.
What do you think about this one? Maybe just potentially this one.
I don't think that really, for me, I don't think that solves really the issue, because I think Mitchell and Munoz will still not. I feel like the width would still not quite be there. See, I think the way this a lot of this fixes, in my opinion, is if that right centre back does what we did last season, and I think at Forest, I think Chalobah did do that once, but then he got clattered, ended up on the floor for like 5 minutes, and then never did it again. So I think that's how you would kind of, I think, fix it temporarily. But like I said, it's a catch-22. I feel like no matter which way you change it, there's going to be issues somewhere else. And the thing is, yeah, I wouldn't mind having two up front, but then Mateta's been absolute pony this season. And then even the same with Eze. Eze's done next to nothing. You could argue he shouldn't be starting either, but then I guess he's got the capability of scoring a free. Obviously nearly caught out Sells a couple times, but yeah, it's a bit of a difficult one, really. But specifically against Spurs, I would stick with the 5 just because the way they attack. I think we're gonna need to.
Yeah, I think so as well. Also, Kapoor has been on the bench quite a few times now, so potentially he's training with the first team every week, so he might actually get a chance. You never know. But let's look at Spurs' injuries, and typical for Crystal Palace. Heung-min Son, who had a bit of a knock in the West Ham game, he's projected to be back in our game. Odebort had a thigh injury. He will be back for our game. The only person they will have injured is Jed Spence, and they never play him anyway. So sick. Spurs, they play they set up as a 4-3-3, but it's basically 4 at the back, 1-6 in Basuma, 2 10s because they're playing Kulusevski as an inside forward now, but his actual position is technically number 10. Obviously, you've got Maddison is also a number 10 on the other side. They try and do some defensive work, but we'll talk about that a little bit later with how that really doesn't help them defensively, but Tottenham were never a very good defensive team anyway. And then you've got a front 3 of Son on the left wing, Solanke straight through the middle, and Brennan Johnson on the right. This is their first team. And this is the team I've set up. However, is this the team that's going to play against us? I don't think so. Because they are playing in Europe tomorrow. They're playing us on Sunday. And then they're playing against Man City in the Cup on Wednesday. So they've got 3 games in 6 days. And I don't think they're going to risk playing all of their best players against us if they've got a big game against Man City in the Cup. Because Spurs need a trophy. Everyone knows they need a trophy. So they're going to go all out for that game. Are they going to go all out in this game? Possibly not. So how would I think this team sets up? I don't know. I think it's a bit of a weird one. I don't think that Van der Ven's playing. And I think that's a good thing for us. But this guy was very good last season. So I believe he will play. Romero will play. I don't think Solanke will play. I think they'll play the pigeon up front.
I genuinely thought they had a youth player called Pigeon that you was going to put in. I was thinking, who is this guy?
It's Richarlison. If you guys are a bit slow like Dan.
Did I tell you that in Brazil they call him Obombo, which literally means pigeon in Portuguese.
So yeah, I think pigeon up top, 100%.
Sorry.
Do you want me to change it so you stop laughing?
No, I don't
think Maddison's playing. So I put Sarr there. I'm a bit confused whether I put Bentancur or Gray in this position for Basuma but I know Basuma won't play, but it's a toss up between these two because Gray is obviously the guy they've just bought, and Bentancur's literally just come back from injury. I think it'll be Gray.
Here's a shout here. I haven't seen Spurs play Gray, so I could be completely wrong here. And this is based on just his kind of last time when he was at Leeds. I'm fairly sure at Leeds they were playing him at left back, inverted, like an inverted sort of left back type thing. So I'm wondering whether maybe Gray, if they were going to sub him out, would be more like a Dogi kind of player, or maybe Porro instead. Because they basically play like 8s anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder. To be fair, Gray's such a good player. He could play in one of number of positions.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
because I'm even thinking they might actually play a full midfield of Sarr, Gray, and Bentancur. Like it could happen.
Yeah.
But I think that this will be the team they will play. So I would go with Vicario Udoge. Isn't his real name like it's something I can't actually remember his real name.
Who?
He's got a mad pronunciation. The Dragusin. It's not pronounced like that. It's pronounced something else.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not even going to attempt it.
It's Romanian, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know.
Romero, Porro, Gray, Sarr, Kulusevski, because Kulusevski, yeah, that's it. Radu, easy name to remember. Gray, Sarr, Kulusevski, because Kulusevski just seems to play infinite games. He just never seems to get injured. Brennan Johnson, I think, will play against us because I think he's a little bit. Like he was in some serious form not too long ago, and he just has stopped scoring, and I think he's lost the faith of the fans a little bit. That could be Odebert, but he's just come back from injury. Pigeon and then Son. I think Son will be. Son will play on the left. He always scores against us. I think that later on down the line, Pigeon will get subbed on for either Solanke or most likely Timo Werner.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. I completely forgot about their potential fixtures, and yeah, that's a very fair point of them dropping a lot of their players. Let's hope that they do that. We'll see. I mean, they probably will, and they'll probably still win, so it doesn't really matter.
Oh yeah, of course, of course. But to be fair, whenever we've played against a bigger team or against anyone, actually, we've only lost by 1 goal, so we've never been.
True. We haven't. No one's actually battered us this season.
Yeah, and yeah,
said that too early. Clip it. But yeah, let's go through some comments before we look at some sadness.
Damn, 22 minutes. We haven't even got to the tactics yet.
To be fair, the Spurs attack. I mean, I'll talk about their attack, and I'll just try and focus more on how we're going to try and defend, I guess. Gus is said to be testing out back four in training. I mean, to be fair, he's done that in the middle of a couple of the games this season, so that doesn't surprise me. Do we play an extra man midfield or attack? Gus is going to be sacked by January. I hope not, but it could be Gareth. It could be Gareth back. So back to the Palace. We don't know. We don't sign old players. Evening, Niall. Thank you for tuning in. Chalobah off for Agbenone. Yeah, we're frozen. Big up, dog. Your left back, who you said about, going to be hopefully trying to look at him at some point soon. So stay tuned. Agbenone won't play because he's 19, even though he's better than Kamada, Sarr, and Ketia. I think for me, why I liked him in the game was that I just thought he just brought something a little bit different that we've been missing for a lot of the season. Like he actually took his man on. Like he did a nice little step over, took his man on, got past him, and then the cross wasn't the best in the world, but fair play to him. Like that's going to improve. Eze must go in the middle. He desperately needs a tactical on the left. You know what? Honestly, that's why I wouldn't mind just chucking Franco Uma on. Okay, defensively, he might be a bit of a liability, but at least it's a better outlet. When Mitchell is on form, they're great together. When he's not, Ebbs looks lost. To be honest, I know JC's been saying this for years, but I think Mitchell was never really, if we ever wanted him to attack, he was never really going to be that guy. Fair enough for Eze in the middle. We do need someone on the left. Yeah, I agree. That's how bad it is, right? When we're considering putting Jeffrey Schlupp on the left, because it kind of makes sense. Because he's actually kind of the best option to play there.
Would you like to know
as a wing back? Would
you like to know a certain player that's a free agent right now?
Is it Patrick Van Aanholt?
Yes.
You know what? It's so bad at the moment that I would actually kind of back that. I'm not going to lie. Franco Uma needs to run out. I agree. Hat-trick for Son. I am considering putting him in my fantasy team. So when he blanks, you can thank me all. Moss is saying, just win, Eagles. Shut them skinny chickens up. I hope we do, Moss.
It's chicken.
Big up,
ball.
Animal. No matter what team they put, they always. To be fair, I'm fairly sure our home record against Spurs isn't that bad anymore. Like, so we beat them 3-0.
It's
and then we drew,
bad.
didn't we?
Yeah, it's bad
until recently.
Yeah. Because the only time
did we draw against them last season?
I think so. I think if you look past the last 2 or 3 years, I think the only time I've actually beaten them at home is in the cup. 2-1, I think.
Is that our place? Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is at ours, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, because
Yeah,
I think at ours it's not too bad. Oh yeah. Yeah, because I remember that 3-0. Oh, that was a long time ago. Pigeons for cockerels, Mighty Eagles. Eddie the Eagle will score. Hopefully, I think he's due a goal. 0-0 in the early kickoffs, isn't it? Be pissed off if Jez doesn't start today. I mean, I've seen people asking him to be recalled in January, so we should forfeit the Spurs game. I think you get a fine if you forfeit games, but I'm not sure.
3-0 loss.
Probably will. Doubt Spurs will play Gray or Dragusin.
Oh, is it? I think it's me. I think it's Dan. I doubt Spurs will play Gray or Dragusin. I think you'll see the usual lineups: Lanky Matters, Basuma, Van der Ven will play. All right, big up, Day Kim. Nice to see a Spurs fan in here. Hopefully, we can get the tactics of your team right. I'd rather get relegated than have Moyes or Southgate take over. I don't think it's that deep. That you'd. Oh, Dan's kicked me out again. I don't think it's that deep that you'd want to go down for Southgate or Moyes, but you never know.
Moyes.
Yeah. I'd much rather Moyes than Southgate if you're going to give me the pick of the bunch, but I believe Spurs will rotate in Europe tomorrow. Bear comments. Thank you very much. We'll get them both. Dan, it's not dog. It's the dog. Big up Damo.
Big up.
And big up Callum.
Thank you all for tuning in. I think my internet just went a bit funny then, and for some reason, because I clicked the play button, maybe it kicks you out as well.
I don't know.
Well,
there's 2 of us now.
I don't know. Well, anyways, without further ado, let's talk about the attack. Okay, so how do they attack and how can we defend? I love that Franco Uma's initials is FU. I love that. But anyways, so what have I got in my notes? So as usual, to begin with, I've got some stats, some very depressing stats for us. So they have the most XG in the league. They got the joint third most XG per shot. They take the second most amount of shots in the league. They're currently about right for their expected goals, so they're roughly scoring the chances that they should. They're only on minus 0.7, which is fine. They take shots from, on average, the 5th shortest distance in the league. They complete the second most passes into the box, the most amount of crosses into the box, although they do attempt the most crosses as well. Their shot creating actions indicate that they tend to pass to create their chances. That's not really surprising. They have the second most possession in the league, but they press so high, which is part of their attack. They actually have the most amount of tackles won in the attacking third of any team in the league. Second most touches in the opponent's box. And to boot, they've got the 4th best aerial duel win percentage.
So we're gonna concede, basically.
Oh, yeah. So, but one thing that might be interesting. This is using a different XG model from another website called Understat. I think this one's a bit less accurate, but it still paints the picture of what I want to say. So, one thing that is interesting, though, Spurs' XG when they're either losing or winning by a goal is 3.89 and 3.3 per 90, respectively, which is a lot. So that tells me, obviously, if they're losing, they're trying to, win the game back. They're trying to score. And if they're winning by one, they really like to try and kill the game off and get a second. It does drop off a little bit when they're up by 2 goals, but that's.
Methinks Dan is gone again. How do we save this one? I don't know what stat Dan was going to say there, but I would imagine that it's a stat very much in Tottenham's favour and a stat that's not very much in our favour. Yeah, I'm on a big screen now. Okay, sick. Oh, what is happening?
I really don't know. Wait, let me just try and. It could be one thing, but let me just pause it. No, it's unlikely, but I'm just changing it. Right. Okay. Start again. Right. So yeah, but going back to the XG, when the game is level, they only produce 1.49 XG per 90. So that's half when they're winning or when they're losing. So basically, if we try and frustrate them and keep them at level pegging, that could be an avenue that we can exploit, because the numbers say that they're not very good when they are level. But what do Spurs do? So, I mean, they do so many different things, but I will just go over the basics. We spoke about how they did it last season, so I'm not going to spend too much time, but I will talk about how Solanke changes them a little bit. But let's say they have the ball over here, and it's a bit more of like a. Actually, no, sorry. Let's start like when let's say they got the ball over here. Now, what I will say, this situation doesn't really tend to happen very often, because as I'll tell you later, they win the ball a lot in this area, and the ball pretty much ends up in this area for quite a large portion of the game. That they actually don't really tend to have like goal kicks that often. So let's say that they do have something like this. It occurs here. So generally what you'll see is kind of like something like this. So they'll use the goalkeeper to try to make an overload. And I'm going to show you some screenshots later of something like that to try and get out. And obviously they are good on the ball. And they are, generally able to pass through presses pretty well. I mean, what you do see teams try to do is try and cut off these kind of like this middle lane here to try and, stop any central progression. But when you've got 3 players here, it's very difficult to try and get a defensive advantage in this area. So generally speaking, this situation doesn't happen that often. So with that in mind, let's just go up to here. So at this point, I think this is the point where we can get them, and I'll talk about a bit later. But yeah, so generally what happens here is that you'll have these 2 here. These tend to be quite wide. Bentancur will be, so they have like this little triangle here. But also what tends to happen quite a lot is so you've got Kulusevski. Maddison will drop quite often, and will try and pick up these kind of areas. Because what he wants to then do, let's say we've backed off here. If he receives the ball here, let's say Udogie kind of moves away, and then Maddison wants to drive with that ball into space. And when players receive the ball, they always try to receive the ball and turn. So let's say Maddison's received the ball here. He will try his best to turn to his facing our goal. And that's the same with every single player on this pitch. Even if Bentancur gets the ball, he's going to try and do the same. He's going to try and make it so he's facing our goal. And so that, because then, they're trying to progress the ball to the pitch. And they're all good with their feet. They're all good at turning. So there isn't really a particular player who you'd pick on to try and really do that, annoyingly. Now, and obviously, the reason why they have these wide centre backs is because that's kind of, I guess, where the space is. So if Bentancur does get caught, perhaps, it's a really easy pass for him to just find one of the centre backs, and then they're in good space, and they can kind of set again. So for them, it's quite a good system. I'll come back to this a bit later, though. So as they get a bit further up the pitch, what you'll notice is so the reason why Solanke is really good for them, and I think they tried it with Richarlison last season, but he's not really I don't think he's really suited to that proper old school number 9 role. Whereas Solanke is, he's very good at running. He's very good at holding the ball up. He's very good at running in behind, and also he just gives them a focal point. You're going to get players who are going to want to mark him. Do you know what I mean? So that's occupying the defence somewhat there. You'll also have 2 wingers that are going to be holding the touchline. So you have Brennan Johnson probably, or if it was their strongest team, Brennan Johnson and Son. Their job is pretty much to hold that line. So then, these wingers have got off. So the fullbacks have to think about what they're going to do. Now, in addition to this, you have Kulusevski, who tends to move inside. Now, last season, he was more on the wing, and he would move inside that way. However, he tends to play in a more central role now. He's a very good dribbler on the ball. Very progressive dribbler. So that's, again, another person to look out for. You're going to hear me saying that a lot. Then obviously you got Maddison, who, when he's not dropping deep over here to pick up the ball, he's going to be occupying a space kind of like this over here. And then you have Destiny Udogie, who, as I alluded to earlier, they kind of play like 8s, the fullbacks. So Udogie's going to be in this kind of area supporting Son and Maddison. Porro, I think, works a little bit differently in the sense that Porro, I think these players would tend to move inside more often, and then Porro will overlap, whereas Udogie will pretty much only go, not only, but he tends to underlap a lot more. So that's generally how that happens. But also, I think Porro tends to sit just a touch deeper as well than Udogie. Udogie will actually join this kind of offensive line, whereas Porro kind of sits here a little bit more, so it is a bit lopsided.
He inverts ever so slightly as well.
Yeah, exactly. So he inverts sort of like there. I guess it's just to provide a good structure for this. But these players aren't, because if you're a defender, you're probably thinking, well, if they just stand in that position, why don't you stick players on them? Do I go man for man? Well, obviously you could do that, but they do interchange quite a lot. There's been times where I've seen even Bentancur over here, and Udogie drops and then Son moves inside, or even these players here, all 3 of them can swap. Udogie can go there, Maddison go there. Udogie might pull out wide. Son goes on the inside. They're all capable of playing all 3 of those kind of roles. And then it's the same with Kulusevski and Johnson. Johnson, we know he's very quick. He can get on the the outside, or again, he can swap with Kulusevski and then they perhaps go on the inside, or, one drops and then Porro does decide to go there and overlap. They've got a lot of bows to their arrow. And this is the thing, like I said last year, they've got so many ways to attack that it's hard to defend against because you don't necessarily know what they're going to do. Because, they could ping a ball over the top for someone like Johnson or Solanke, who I said is very happy to run in behind, or even Kulusevski as well, or Son. Do you know what I mean? There's 4 players there who are more than happy to run in behind. But then you've also got good dribblers like Maddison, good dribblers like Johnson, so on and so forth. But equally as well, when you are in that, okay, well, why don't you sit in a low block then and just kind of like, let them have the ball on the wide? Well, that's the thing. One of the things that they do like to do, and I think is very clever, is when, say, a team is in like a low block, the way they try to get past this is they will either go out wide and then they're happy to cross that ball in. Solanke's good in the air, so that's a threat. Or they what I do notice they do like to do quite a lot is they really like these 1-2 passes to try and get in behind here. So like for example, Maddison might have the ball there, pass to Solanke, and then as Solanke's moving towards that ball, for example, this player's suddenly gone a bit out of position, and then Maddison's able to then run in behind. Because I mean, you're looking here, you got, well, in this particular example, there's 3 versus 2. Is 6 going to pick Maddison up? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, they should do, but they might not, because this happens in a second, and then Maddison's in, and then potentially could have a shot. And that's basically, in a nutshell, how they defend. Sorry, they defend, how they attack. And then let's just show. Let me see if I've got. So let's go.
Some pictures, don't you?
Yeah, I've got some pictures, and they're all blurred out, which is good.
Animal with a good comment here saying porro means spliff in Spanish.
Does it really?
So I thought, let me Google it, and it means joint. So I'm not sure whether that's elbow joint or a what joint. So I guess that's up to your own interpretation. I would say it's the elbow joint or something like that, because I think joint is like slang.
That's why he always plays so high up the pitch. Right, let me get to. So this is what I mean by a goal kick overload, because after I've talked about this, I'm going to talk about how we can defend. And this kind of goes nicely into it, because I think what Newcastle started to do here wasn't too bad, but then I thought they just kind of fell asleep a little bit. So this is what I mean by a goalkeeper overload. So this is Spurs playing in like the light blue. Let's use a red, because I've already got yellow on the side. So we got Vicario there, and then I think there's that room. I can't remember who that is, but the 2 centre backs. Like I said, this is the pivot, so it could be Bentancur, could be whoever. Porro's over here. Adobe's like somewhere over there somewhere. But anyways, this is a point of a goalkeeper overload. You got 3 Spurs players there, 2 there, and 3 Newcastle players there. So you've already got a numerical overload. What I liked with what Newcastle did was that Anthony Gordon went there, which is good. I thought, that's a good idea, because then that kind of stops. I don't know who's over here. I can't remember. So, as long as you got a player watching this player over here, good. Because they could go, if they go into, I can't remember who number 8 is. If they go into number 8, they've already got a player on them. If they go there, you got a player there. I guess you could go out of here, but then this is good. You've got, I think it's Joel Linton watching Porro. So by the time that ball goes over there, he should be facing him and putting pressure on him. So that's good. I liked what they did there.
Sorry, I'm just I'm looking into this Google Translate thing, and Animal just said elbow joint is articulation. So I thought, okay, well let me just type in spliff in English, and it came back with porro.
Imagine having that for a surname.
That's mad.
But yeah, they got. So then what they do is that they then try a long pass here. And then again, good. Newcastle have done well here. They've managed to get the ball here. But then this is what I was saying about their players just being very good on the ball. Because then, again, I can't remember who this is, but they basically spin out of here. Now, where I think Newcastle kind of fell asleep is I think, but then I guess, actually, I haven't now rethinking about it, it's a bit of a catch-22 really, because if he goes there, then all he does is turn and then, you got that option there. But then spins out and then, they've kind of fallen asleep. And then you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then all this player's does is then run through here. And then, you've got your 4 players. And then it eventually ended up in a chance where it was like 5v4. They didn't make anything. I don't think they made anything of it. But, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's how good Spurs can play out of these kind of situations. Although I do think Newcastle maybe could have done a little bit better. But I'll just finish up with the rest of the pictures I did, because these were some... Actually, I'll tell you what, this is a defensive shape that Newcastle had in that game. And this is why I said for this game, out of possession, I do think a 5 would make more sense. I mean, to be fair, we could play Chalobah. And then Chalobah played defensive midfield at Chelsea. So, it could be a situation where, at certain times he is in the midfield and certain times he's not in the midfield, because you'll see a bit later how when they played Leicester actually changed their shape like midway through attacks. But they had 5 at centre back. But basically what it was, Joel Linton was just watching, God, I can't remember who that was on the wing, but he was watching that winger. So those are the 4 normal defenders, and then Joel Linton was there. And granted, Newcastle played Spurs without a Solanke, but they still managed to limit their chances, which I think is, obviously what we're trying to do. Now, I think potentially, I actually think the key lies with our old friend Steve Cooper, because I thought
He's gone again. Oh man. Dan needs to get new internet. We need to make that hashtag. Dan needs new internet. Because the second he hits play, he's gonna kick me out of this stream. But that is funny. I'm currently looking at what other words mean in Spanish. Other player names. I haven't found any funny.
Okay, well, it obviously wasn't the thing that I thought it was. I think my internet's just been a bit... I had to reset it earlier, so it's just been a bit rubbish. Right. Well, anyways, I've only got a couple more minutes, and then that'll be it. So, okay, so I think it lies with Steve Cooper's Leicester, because I thought they defended very well against Spurs. So this was their shape. It was actually they were caught out of shape. So because Vardy, I think they were about to attack, and they tried it and they didn't quite get it. But what they've done is they've kind of stopped this central progression. Spurs have gone out wide. Maddison's received the ball. But rather than kind of getting baited into going out, they're following the runners. So they're following Udogie. I don't know who that is, but they're watching Son. And then what that meant was that Spurs just didn't have any options. Because they were stopping any realistic passing to there. They could do there, but then, going back to that, Son, if he receives that ball, he's potentially got to beat 2 players there. I don't think he fancied it. And then eventually they just ended up going back and just recycling. So I think we just try not to get baited. And actually, sorry, something I did forget to say is that Spurs are absolutely relentless in their press. Like, they're so relentless that a lot of the time the defending team will lose the ball like up to like there. Like, this whole part of the pitch will be ball loss central. So you don't really get a respite. So Leicester slowing it down up at this point and allowing themselves to get into this low block was really important because they've gotten up the pitch, they've relieved the pressure over here. Okay, they're a man down because Vardy's not defending anymore. But what it meant was they had that respite. They weren't losing the ball anywhere beyond there. And they were able to get in their low block and then allow Spurs to kind of just not really do anything.
Question for you about this though.
Go on.
They've done that midfield free to they've got a midfield free to hold out that middle area. We would only have a midfield 2 if we play our same formation. So would that mean that packing out the middle would be less effective for us because we'd have a one less body in there?
Not necessarily, because I think you can I think. Well, actually, I got a mid block here, so let me just go on to here. So yes, this is So that this could quite easily be the striker and just one of the 10s. Normally, I think because like last season, I think like we saw like Eze doing that at one point last season. Maybe that was under Roy, but I think out of possession, it could be that. It could be that we play a 2 up front.
Yeah,
I don't know. To be fair, that's Buonanotte, who's obviously not a striker, and that's Vardy. So, it could just be another one of the attacking mids, and then the other attacking mid drops. I don't know. But this is what they did. They stopped that because you can see like they've got the wide centre backs here. Porro's over there, so he's been held by that player. They're all. It's like it's a hybrid man for man, but it's also zonal because obviously they're blocking these passes here. If they do that pass, Porro's going to have to like work to keep the ball. I think what happens is I don't even know what's that about. I don't know, but I think what they did was Sarr, I think that is, comes to the side and then they pass down here, or I can't remember. Or maybe the winger receives the ball, but the point is that you're kind of blocking these central channels. Again, you're giving yourself time at the back just to set yourself in that low block. It's about containing them rather than like actively winning the ball up here. And then finally, I've got like because sometimes in that situation, Maddison will drop to try and create that overload. So where have we got here? So Maddison does indeed drop. Where is he? I think that's in there. So there. I don't know. Sorry. Oh no, sorry. So this is where I was saying that they changed their shape. So we saw before they had like a 5 at the back, pretty much. But now, because we know Steve Cooper likes to play 5 at the back as well. Again, they got 2 players there. 4 there, so there's obviously got to be 4 there. So they're playing like a 4-4-2. They're playing a different defensive style depending on where they are in the pitch. And I think the way they did it was good. Again, they're blocking these channels. If they do get a ball out wide, they've got defensive overloads here and they can try and force Spurs just to come back. So what happens is trying to recycle the ball, move it. So then Son gets the ball here. But then again, this player's watching this player. So this player is just coming out to Son, not necessarily getting stuck in. But in this position, they haven't got anything on. So all they can do, unless Son manages to beat a 1v1, but I didn't see that in the games I did. Or if he does pass down there, then this player's got to work for it. They've got to come back again. So I think Spurs do struggle in a low block, and I think the stats are what I was saying earlier about how their XG is a lot lower when they're drawing a game. I think that is true. Now, the only other things that I've written down, which I think could be a good idea, is I do think they could be able to be pressed high. Like, could we use the fullback? Could we say Porro, if we try and force the ball out to Porro, and it's something that Brighton did, if they force it out to Porro, could we make sure that Mitchell or someone is ready to get on Porro as soon as we've done? We played with very aggressive wing backs last season defensively, so we don't see why we shouldn't do that again. And maybe, again, something else that Brighton did, maybe we should put Maybe we should put players on the centre backs, press the centre backs, and then just kind of push our team a little bit higher, so that rather than the first line being where Bentancur is, maybe it's where their centre backs are. There could be a potential. It worked when Brighton did it, so that could be all right. And finally, just if they are receiving the ball, make sure they can't turn. They're really good at turning into space. But obviously that's easier said than done. Again, we're going to need huge slices of luck to not concede in this game. But anyways, I know I've gone on a little bit there actually, but that's all I have to say on that.
Yeah. I think that, to be fair, I think the turning thing, I think that we tried to take advantage of that last season, because I do remember that Adam Wharton specifically dispossessed Maddison quite a few times because he took the ball and turned straight into him, basically.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. And the other thing is that I do think that pressing them is a good idea, but this season we haven't been pressing as a team.
Yeah.
And if one or two people, like, I think it happened literally just before Roy got sacked against Spurs, didn't it? I think one or two of our strikers pressed, and they literally just played one-touch passing through our whole team and scored.
Yeah.
So because of this Big Ange new setup, and if we don't press as a unit, that could be, like as you said, the catch-22. You could try and press, but if not everyone does it, then we just leave ourselves wide open, really.
Well, Animal's got a comment. What do you think? Since it's on this topic right now, what do you think? Do you think it's Glasner, or do you think it's the players? I mean,
I think it's confidence. I don't think they're confident enough in themselves to actually take. I don't think they're confident enough to go and take risk, because right now, because the players are so low on confidence, obviously it's human nature. If someone makes a long pass and it doesn't get there, the whole team is going to go, oh, that's just natural. But it's the fact that last season when they did that, we go, oh, Anderson would try it again, and then try again. But now I feel like if something doesn't work, and because they're already low on confidence, the crowd going, oh, it's going to make them think, oh, why am I even doing this? I'm not going to try that again. And I feel like it's the same thing with the pressing, because some people are still trying to press, and it's Eddie, it's Munoz, it's Sarr when he's on the pitch, it's Lerma, it's Hughes. It's like a very few amount of them that are actually still trying to press. There's the fact that some are and some aren't. And that if people are moving as a unit, it's a whole different press, because it's the same players. It really is, because centre backs aren't really the ones doing the pressing. The only person that's different is you're taking out Michael Elise. Granted, he was one of our best pressers. I have to give him that. But it's only one player. Why is the rest of the team not doing it? And I think it's just down to confidence. They're too afraid of making a mistake. And by being too afraid of making a mistake, they're making a mistake in itself.
Yeah, I agree. And just to add on to that, I can't see how such an effective press would then have the manager, which they never did under Roy, then disappear. Why would a manager stop something that was so effective that wasn't a legacy thing from the previous manager? Do you know what I mean? I just don't see how that would be possible. But yeah.
100%.
Right, JC, are you ready?
I'm ready to do the fastest analysis on how Spurs defend.
Take as long as you want.
I can't tell if that's the last statement you said before pressing the button as a pause or not, because
well, now it's a pause.
Oh well. Okay. What would I say about Spurs' defending? And I'm not saying to just feed into the memes of Big Ange about how Spurs don't really defend, or they don't really know how to defend. It's not exactly wrong. I'll say that. It's not exactly wrong. And I don't actually think I need my tactics board for most of what I'm saying here. So, okay. They don't like defending, running back towards their own goal. And that might sound like a stupid statement to say, because what do you mean? Whenever you defend, you run back towards your own goal. Not really, because most of the time, if your centre backs are positioned correctly, the player's in front of you. So you have to step out and challenge them, basically. But what I'm saying is if someone's dribbling at them, if someone's running behind, is in that situation where they're chasing the ball back towards their own goal. That's the kind of scenario I mean. And Spurs are. I might actually need my tactics board here. Spurs are actually very bad at tracking back, and specifically the midfield is very bad at tracking back. So that, as you said, Bentancur, and I think the Spurs. I think the Spurs fan, said that it will most likely be Bentancur here. Let's say, let me get a ball. I ain't got a ball. I never have a ball. Why not? And my thing's crashed. Rihanna, computer crashed.
Oh, is it me? Right?
No. My tactics board has crashed. This is not a good stream, man. What has happened? Okay, let me try and explain it in my mind. Wait,
use your mind. Use your mind to move the things.
Okay, that's not working. Let's imagine here that Mark Gay has put a ball in behind for Sarr to run onto. He's currently running in between the half space between Udogie and Dragusin. Mm-hmm. He's currently running there, and he's gone all the way to the byline. What you will see happen is you'll see Romero, Dragusin, and Porro. All of them will run all the way down to the byline. They will all run basically and stand next to the goalkeeper. Bentancur will also follow them back. The only issue here is that all of them will commit so much towards the goal that a cutback is so open. And who are the other two midfielders? It would be Maddison and it would be Kulusevski. They're not going to be they're not going to be tracking back fast enough to actually make it there to block out the cutback. But two, if they are getting back, they wouldn't know where to position themselves. So a cutback into a shot is potentially how we could score here. That's exactly how West Ham scored against them. That's exactly how Brighton scored their winner against them late on into the game. And I think Brighton scored another goal exactly the same as that as well. Granted, Udogie messed up the clearance, but it was still the same scenario. All the defenders were committing themselves back towards their own goal. And I think it was Minte. I think he literally just got the ball, done a nice little bit of skill, found a little bit of space because there was no one else pressing him. The only person anywhere near him was Udogie, and he just smashed it in the bottom corner, and there was no one there to press him that was in that midfield. So obviously cutbacks is one thing that they're not very good at defending. Running towards their own goal, not very good at defending. They do like to leave some of their defenders out to dry sometimes, and I mean that because if a player is running at someone, so if Ismail Sarr is having a run at Udogie, let's say, even if he's struggling in that game, none of their players will leave their position to come over and help because they're too afraid of leaving the place that they are in occupied for one of our players to come. So they will trust their players every single time on a 1v1. Whether that's Eze up against Romero, they'll trust Romero with a 1v1. And because of how aggressive all of their defenders are, Porro, Van der Ven, Romero, Udogie, they're so aggressive that they will happily step out of their line to make that challenge. But if you make it past him, it's going to take a while for the other players to come across because they're stretched so wide even when defending, because what they want to do is the second they grab the ball, they want to initiate attack almost instantaneously. So they keep their attack in shape even though they are defending, and that's where all the defensive problems come from when you're talking about Tottenham Hotspur here. There's little things here and there. Fullbacks, they struggle for like any crosses or any passes going to the back post. They don't seem to be very aware of their surroundings. Like they'll be very transfixed on the ball. If the ball's in the air, they will not see someone, potentially running in front of them to like get in front of them to get the ball before they do. Like it's just really simple mistakes, but the players that they've got are there mostly for their attacking abilities and their ball playing abilities. And that's really it. So those are the main ways that I think that we could actually hurt Spurs because of how they defend. And I think the main one for me is because of how fluid and free flowing their attacking players. As Dan said, if you can nick the ball from them in transition, if you can get the ball before the ball actually makes it into their front line, we've got such a huge overload in our favour if we actually start running the other way. But that is only dependent on if certain players like Eze would actually keep the pace up when attacking using our overload, basically. That's the only time it comes available. If Eze starts slowing the game down, they'll be able to get back. But if we can nick the ball, if we can hit him fast on transitions, that's really the best way that we can actually attack them. But even then, with their bad defending, they've still got a really, really, really good goalkeeper in Vicario. So I'm not saying that I'm not saying that we're going to win this game. I'm not saying we're going to lose this game. But I do think that they'll score quite a few more goals than we will.
Yeah, no, I agree, unfortunately. And again, I think like when you play Spurs, who are obviously going for like a European finish, a Champions League finish, we need to get lucky in the sense that they don't take opportunities that they're probably going to create. And also, yeah.
Score prediction, I think, is the last bit.
Yeah, some score predictions. See if there's any other comments before we do that. Can we utilize long throws way better than other teams? Seem capable of it.
One sec, let me close everything and jump back in again.
All right. Seem capable of it. I mean, if they can do it, yeah, sure, why not? Bang a Rory Delap or something like that. Wouldn't be against that. If I were Glasgow play 5-3-2, it's just the width that's the issue. I think as long as, yeah, that's the issue. Spurs are actually not bad at set pieces. Yeah, I did notice that there wasn't really anything on there. Oh, we swapped names.
I'm back.
We've swapped names.
How's it going, JC?
Yeah, I'm good, Dan. How are you?
Bit weird.
If we play Nketiah, JP, and Sarr as a front three, that could work with Ebson at 10. It's very, very, very attacking. Maybe Sarr could play wing back. Just a shout out there, just because he's a bit of a runny boy. I know. I was gonna say a dribbly boy, but that's even worse.
Oh man.
Basuma over Bentoncourt, in my opinion. Rich, I'm getting to that point. Hard reset down to the championship, get rid of the higher paid egos. I think there is a bit of an ego problem this season. I do agree. I won't name names, but we all know them. TACT-EAGLE, Dan and JC have tech issues for 1 hour, 30 minutes. Certainly today.
Go away.
Go down. That's the thing. And even like in the championship, like Leeds went down. They haven't come up, and they probably should have come up. The championship is such a difficult league, even at the best of times. And I agree. I don't think if we went down, we wouldn't be coming back up. Spurs aren't great at running back towards their own goal. Yeah, absolutely. And Di completely agrees with you, JC, about the cutback. So West Ham attacked Spurs. In fact, Sarr came on for Maddison to actually stop that. I think Starr needs to play. There's a chance for any result. Yeah, I agree. I think we need his pace in the team. Bring in Sir Moyes. I mean, if it was Moyes or Southgate, I'm going Moyes, to be fair.
100%.
I think Gus will turn this around. I mean, I do genuinely believe if we get one win, I think points will follow. But it's a matter of when does that, where, like, I can't see that first win coming. Do you know what I mean? I
think that I think we said it on the review. I think if the win doesn't come before that next international break, then
got to start thinking.
You need a change. And
I think
after what you said, that if the players are low on confidence, I think you said it, that there's got to be a point where the manager has to inspire confidence, and it can't just be on the players.
No, I agree. I think if there's still no, to be honest, even if we got a draw, say in those three games, I don't know, maybe not, but if to say we are still in bad form by that time, for me, it's a binary decision of we either keep Glasner and we absolutely back him in January with a proper attacking wing back, and actually it's a bit late now, but like a Nusa or El Canis or someone like that, maybe Ryan Cherky or someone like that. I don't know.
But we would only do it if we were within a sniff. If we were so far gone, we'd start selling players so we can try and survive in the championship. But I don't think it will be that bad. But it's something you have to think about. Like, we have to be within touching distance to actually make those spend that big money.
Yeah, I think because I can't remember I think it was a big Sam season that we spent quite a lot in January for like a similar reason. But I think the binary decision is either keep him and absolutely 100% back him, or get rid of him and then get him Moyes or someone in. I don't know, but I think I'd much prefer the former rather than the latter. We'll beat Spurs, change formation, 3-2 Palace, Kamada with the winner. Wow, you are a very optimistic man, Gaurav.
I think he's optimistic to even see Kamada get on the pitch after that last performance.
We need Brighton to go down first. We aren't going down. I don't think we will, but I agree with Simon. I'd rather keep him and just back him in January. Right. Anyways, score predictions after quite a lengthy stream today.
Bear in mind, this is a stream that both of us didn't want to do.
Yeah, but I guess we had a lot to say because to be fair, we didn't start talking about the actual tactics until we were still on the lineups after 25-30 minutes.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Team, I will go bold. Very bold here.
It's only going to be 1-0 to Spurs.
No. I think that I was sitting here saying, before we even started the stream, I was like, it's going to be 4-0 Spurs. It's going to be 4-0 Spurs. It's going to be 4-0 Spurs. But I think there's going to be famous last words, by the way, if this happens. I think the fact that we've actually played pretty well lately, like in the last couple of games, granted, we haven't got the results, but we've actually played pretty well, apart from making mistakes for other teams to capitalize on. If we can cut those out, then other teams aren't really scoring against us. It's like we're only ever scoring rubbish goals or goals that we've made mistakes on, and we've done it to ourselves, really. I'm going to say 1-0 Spurs, and I think that's very optimistic, the fact that we're only going to concede one goal. But I do think that we've only ever lost by one goal so far this season in every single game we've lost. We've never really been, granted, we may not have played the best, but we've never really been out of the game if we've been losing. So I'm going to go 1-0.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I don't think we haven't lost by more than a goal this season.
No, every single time we've lost, it's only been by one goal. Every single time.
Fair enough. Just to be different, I'll go 2-0 then. I just can't.
Oh, you think 1-0 as well?
Yeah. I think and also we always seem to up our game against the bigger teams for whatever reason.
It's always Palace have always done it though.
Yeah,
because I remember when I think it was actually that season. I think it was a few seasons ago, wasn't it? We literally lost 4-0 to Huddersfield, and then literally 2 weeks later we beat Chelsea, and they only lost once that season under Antonio Conte. Like, who does that? Us.
Classic Palace. Right, just final comments. Just because I've seen some interesting ones. Di saying, as a non-fan, when I watch Palace, supremely disappointed with Eze. Need to sell him. Glasner isn't the problem. You know what? I think my perfect summer would have been Eze went and Gay take or leave, and Elise was staying. I feel like Eze can't be the main man. I feel like he can't really take it. His head seems to go.
It's to be fair, Eze's always been like that, hasn't he? I think Chairman said it yesterday. Eze, when he came in, he had Zaha with him. Whenever we played with Zaha, he was brilliant. Second Zaha got injured, Eze was non-existent. Luckily, we had Townsend. And that's a mad thing to say, by the way. Zaha came back, he was good again. And we had a year with Zaha, Elise, and Eze. But Eze was just come back from an injury. And also, we had Patrick Vieira as our manager, who I still say to this day made me fully believe that Eze was finished by 22, 23 years old. But moving on again, Zaha goes, Elise steps up, and rightly so, he earned that spot. Him and Eze are cooking together. Whenever Elise got injured, and that was pretty often, by the way, rubbish on his own. Second Elise comes back, start cooking.
Yeah, I agree. And Animal agrees too, I think.
He needs people of similar ability to play with to really thrive.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Durfers says the same as us. Close game, but still lose. Dive thinks Kamada and Eze have been terrible as well. And then there's a nice debate going on there, but I think we could be here for another half an hour if we start that. So thank you all for watching. We always really appreciate you guys, and especially I know obviously the Champions League games have kicked off now. So appreciate you staying. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Yeah.
For Wolves, it'll be Wolves, won't it?
Yeah, it'll be Wolves. Oh, when are we playing Villa?
That's on the Wednesday, I think.
Okay.
Or is that the Wednesday? Right. I'll just very quickly check whilst I'm here. Villa
30th, so that's a Wednesday.
Palace Villa.
Wednesday.
Yeah. Wednesday.
Tuesday is fine.
Cool. Yeah, cool. All right. Thanks very much, guys. As always, we've been I'm JC. And
I'm done.
thank you all for watching. And the only thing we can say is up the Palace, I guess.
Cheese rolls.
Cheese